Good evening. Call order the Town of St. John Plan Commission Study Session meeting for January 8th, 2025. Would invite all that are able to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless you.
Can we get the roll call, please?
Joe Gomez-Stagel.
Present.
Rudy Vanvik is currently absent. John Gill.
Here.
Russ Vogel.
Here.
Justin Nestor.
Present.
Colin Entway.
Present.
Ashley Abernathy present. Attorney Adam Decker is absent. John Dykstra.
Here.
Bill Manisopoulos is absent.
All right. We have a quorum. Agenda item 4, old and new business. Item A, 2024-27 Family Express, US 41 St. John. Proposed final plat for a one-lot subdivision and site plan for a new proposed Family Express located southwest corner, US 41, 109th Avenue, Family Express. Mr. Huss, good evening.
Good evening. I don't have a lot to report tonight, just a few brief updates. I'll use the joke one since I was before you last year. If you recall, DVG team was in receipt of comments from Engineer Dykstra dated November 7th. Both the Family Express team and myself attended a staff meeting with the town on December 9th. Since then, on January 2nd, we did make the resubmittal that we owed to the town and their engineer, hopefully addressing his comments. A few items to note as a result of that staff meeting were now on the plans are a 8-inch water main extension along the eastern boundary of the property to provide for future town expansion. We've also added some supplemental landscaping that was suggested by Ashley on the southern boundary of the kind of the rear or western peninsula near where the nearest residence is. Finally, as there was some remonstration about the Huron Street driveway, and it was brought up that the fire department actually insisted on that driveway remaining for emergency access. We will be converting that driveway to a right-in, right-out configuration, which will maintain the ability for a fire truck to kind of go in the wrong way if there is an emergency, but also at the same time only allow customers to the site to exit and utilize that right turn lane we're providing on 109th and not go down Huron to get into the property.
Will that prevent westbound traffic from turning left into there? So if you're going west on 109th, will that prevent them from turning left?
It would. The preference is that if you're coming westbound, you should be turning onto 41 to come in the property.
Okay.
I mean, you figure anybody coming from basically east of 231, once they get the lay of the land and it's built, I mean, that's going to be the natural movement.
Yeah, I mean, because I see the Family Express property at Parish, and people left turn into there, and they're, 50 feet off of the intersection.
Yeah, sure.
So they're trying to do the same thing and turn left, and then it backs up, through the
Yeah.
through the light, which is its own headache. So I'm just trying to make sure that that's not going to be the same problem on 41. Too.
No.
You can't have cars hanging out, but into the road.
No. So beyond that, one of the other comments is obviously we have to submit for an NDOT permit. We have applied for such and are in constant contact with them as they return comments, and we'll certainly inform the town and their engineer when that is in hand. With that said, I don't know if any of the commissioners have any additional questions at this time. I know the resubmittal is under review, and we'll see if we're back here in a week.
Yeah, the most recent resubmittal addresses pretty much the concerns that I'd had at our staff meeting, which was providing some screening here, and then making that turn there. Fire is quite happy with the fact that they still have that entrance there for emergency access, especially because the car wash is going to be located up here. If they have an emergency up here, they're better able to get to it versus having to come in up here and then try and make that travel. Additionally, their comment for having 2 fire hydrants located on this property was also addressed with this updated plan. So I've not received any further comments from fire at this time.
If I could have one more item, just to bring it to more particularly Ashley's attention. She requested, admittedly, a greater amount of screening than was added to the landscaping plan. The reason that we did not was for 2 reasons. One being that we do have a 6-foot or less retaining wall that we're proposing directly west behind the building. So there's some grade change, so I doubt that any arborvitae would actually take hold on that slope. But furthermore, in those specific areas, if you really dive deep into the property line, those properties, which are kind of at the southwest corner, those properties do still have a pretty substantial amount of trees that will remain on their property. That's not quite visible on this plan, but I assure you is there and won't be removed.
Included the lighting plan. I did. So this year, James, you want to let them know this kind of shows how the light pollution is going to fall from the property onto the adjacent properties.
Yeah, but I'll kind of stress again that this specific area, we're not so much talking about lighting, but this is where I was mentioning where we're not providing the landscaping. But what you can't tell from this is there's a generous amount of trees that will remain there.
Question, could you tell me how much water this proposed car wash would use? I mean, we're kind of working on our water system pretty much. Is that going to absorb a lot of water from us?
I know they try to recycle as much as we can. I know they try to recycle as much as they can.
What is this as much as they can?
To be honest, I don't want to speak intelligently on that. I would be certainly happy to talk to Pete and have that information for you a week from now. I'm sure he can have it lickety-split.
I mean, is the car wash comparable to the one that's at Parish?
It is. They typically, I mean, they have a newer generation than some of their older stores, but as part of this drive, not just at this location, is to develop a prototype, and the car wash at a Family Express is
Sure.
a car
It's a
wash.
drive-through one car at a time kind of thing.
Exactly.
not
Yes,
six
it
days
is.
of people.
Single pod, you pull in and nobody else goes in until there's no conveyor or anything like that.
Okay. Anyone else, questions, comments? All right, well, subject to review, we'll see you back next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, 2024-31 MS4 ordinance presentation to updates to the St. John Stormwater and MS4 ordinance.
We've talked about this a couple meetings now. I have no further comments at this time. I've not received anything from Plan Commission. This has been duly advertised for next week.
All right. Questions, comments? Moving on. Item C, 2025-01, the Shops at the Gates, proposed two-lot subdivision and site plan for Lot 1 of the proposed Shops at the Gates development located at US 231 and approximately 230 feet from Park Place, Suncrest Christian Church. Mr. Huss.
Good evening. Again, similar to my previous presentation, just here to provide some updates tonight. First, touching on the plans, we received some good feedback from both the police and fire department since I was last before you, as well as just yesterday, we received our first review letter from the engineer. The fire department has requested some additional hydrants in the front of the development, which, while you haven't seen them, we've already added those to our plans. Police comments were centered on the driveway onto US 231 and certain disobedient drivers' propensity to ignore the rules and turn left at similar driveways throughout the town. While we certainly can't control driver behavior 100%, there is an opportunity which we intend on taking to exaggerate the radii of that driveway to discourage them even more as best we can, which was one of the options in the police's comments that they seemed pretty agreeable to, so that will be demonstrated when we do resubmit the plans to the engineer. Regarding the project as a whole, first and foremost, we want to appreciate the prompt review and return of comments. We expect the comments for the engineering to be returned in the next week or two at most, but most importantly, we'll be providing some very, very minor corrections to the primary plat and return them to the engineer and Ashley by the end of this week, as our public hearing is scheduled next Wednesday, and the advertisements have been completed for that. And if there's any other interim questions, again, happy to answer them.
But maybe that we have to open the hearing and then,
Well, next week is just gonna be a hearing for the, primary plat, and that's gonna depend on what the resubmittal comments, what the resubmittal is. I haven't had a chance to look through Engineer Dykstra's letter that came in today, or was it yesterday?
yesterday.
Yesterday. I haven't
Last
had a chance
night.
to look in yet. But James is absolutely correct. I did get some dialogue back from police and fire, and with the police comments, it's going to be dependent on the resubmittal for the site plan for Lot 1, which I'm thinking we're not seeing till February for the site plan consideration.
Correct, it wouldn't be this month.
Okay.
Yeah. So
If I can speak to the plat, there are some particular items that the town of St. John likes to see. I don't believe any of the comments were substantive that would necessitate a change to what you've already seen, and will be hopefully heard next week.
Okay. Questions, comments, anyone? No? Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item D, Streamside subdivision conversion of performance bond to maintenance bond to be valid for a period of 2 years from date of acceptance of the improvements.
Good evening, Jeff Yatska with Olthoff Homes. At our next meeting, we're going to be looking to convert our performance bond for Streamside to maintenance bond. We've had the site inspected. It was the recommendation to provide a performance bond for 2 years, which we've already delivered to planning, as well as we've provided the 3-year guarantee letter that's also spelled out in the ordinance.
So I do have receipt of the maintenance bond that'll be seen next week, and it'll be in the amount of $376,260.43.
Okay. Questions, comments? See you back next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Item 5, adjournment.
Make a motion,